الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله الذي تسريف الأحوال وتفخيف الأثقال، والصلاة والسلام على سيد الهادين إلى محاسن الأفعال، وعلى آله وصحبه المضارعين له في الصفات والأعمال. أما بعد، أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وعنده مفاتح الغيب لا يعلمها إلا هو ويعلم ما في البر والبحر وما تسقط من ورقة إلا يعلمها ولا حبة في ظلمات الأرض ولا رطب ولا يابس إلا في كتاب مبين. وأيضا قال: وهو الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بالحق ويوم يقول كن فيكون قوله الحق وله الملك يوم ينفخ في السور عالم الغيب والشهادة وهو الحكيم الخبير. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. It's very nice to see you, brothers. Nice to see the community. Alhamdulillah. Thank you again for having me. Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the ability to be here and present today on Yawm al-Jum'ah. Alhamdulillah. There was a storm that passed, and alhamdulillah, we've been very grateful and we have been very fortunate to not have to experience the repercussions of a storm. If you look at the people that came in the past, like Hud alayhi salam, the Qawmi Hud, the Qawmi Ad, they were destroyed by what? By storms, right? They were destroyed by storms. Alhamdulillah, we haven't had to experience something like that, right? We haven't had to experience something like that. And during those times, right, for the believers, it is very important to practice patience. It's very important to practice patience. Patience is probably the thing that you will practice the most in your life. Okay? You will practice that the most in your life. And patience does not just mean there's a catastrophic event that happened in your life and now you have to be patient. Right? It's way deeper than that. Right? You have to be patient when you are dealing with a person and they say something that makes you interact in a way that is out of your character. You have to be patient with your family. You have to be patient at work. You have to be patient with everybody you deal with. That is something you will practice the most. Right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, He said, Inna dhalika min azmi al-umur. Right? The actions that are most beloved, the qualities that are most beloved to Allah, one of them is patience. One of them is patience. And you will be tested in every way. So how do you prepare yourself to be patient? What does that even mean? Right? What does that even mean? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ. He said, we will test you all the time. Okay? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that you will be tested with things that you fear. What are some things that you fear? Do you fear, do you fear your bank account hitting zero? Right? Do you fear that? You'll be tested with that. Do you fear maybe your wife or maybe your husband will say, I want to separate? Do you fear that? Do you fear maybe your children don't want to be with you? What do you fear? Right? Do you fear maybe nobody likes you? Do you fear that maybe you'll never have friends? Do you have anxiety? What do you fear? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will test you with that. And you have to have patience in those times. Wal-ju'. And He'll test you with hunger. Right? And these are all related. When you're tested with hunger, maybe you're also being tested with your finances. Maybe you're hungry because you don't have any money. Right? Or maybe you're hungry because maybe some catastrophic storm or something happened. وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ. I feel maybe this one everybody goes through. Right? If you're going through it right now, it will pass. وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ is He tests you with your finances. Okay? He tests you with your finances. Right? Maybe you're at a time in your life where, alhamdulillah, I have money. But you were also at a time in your life where it's any money with this, I need money. right? And the issue that we have, and we're not able to have patience in our lives, is, this is just my theory, and I think it's because our expectations are too high of the dunya, right? Maybe you expect too much. Like, what do you expect out of this world? Right? Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, mashhur hadith, he said, "Ad-dunya sijnul mu'min wa jannatul kafir." He said, this dunya is prison for you, so treat it as such, and it's paradise to the disbelievers, right? So what are you expecting when you go to prison? What do you expect in prison? Do you expect to eat the best food? Do you expect to sleep on a Tempur-Pedic bed? I mean, do you expect to have 24 access to a gym? Do you expect to talk to whoever you want to talk to? Do you expect to make as much money as you want? You don't have those expectations. When you're in prison, you have no freedom. No expectations whatsoever. Right? So same thing, we expect too much from the dunya. We expect too much out of ourselves, too much from the world. And that in turn really affects you, right? That in turn really affects you, right? When you're getting very emotional about something, you have to have patience. When you're emotional about something, you have to have patience. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? If you look at all the Anbiya alayhi salatu wassalam, and you look at the best man ever, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I mean, they lived very tough lives, right? Very tough lives, right? They didn't live how we live. You have a bed to sleep on. You have a car. You have multiple cars. We have multiple cars, right? You know, you have a job. You have so many things. Like, so many things to be grateful for, right? They didn't have any of that stuff. Yes, yet they were the most grateful. Yet they were the most patient. How does that work, right? How does that work? So, a great example of patience from the time of the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is during the latter part of his life, when he was very close to the end of his life, right? Close to the end of his life. He had a son, right? And we know all of his sons, all of his daughters, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took his sons. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took all his sons away, right? So towards the latter part of his life, he was gifted with a son, Ibrahim, right? He was gifted with a son, Ibrahim. And that was one of the times, and when Ibrahim was a baby, you know, he died as an infant, right? He died not immediately, but he died a little after. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was so happy, right? So happy, right? He was so happy. I've got a son. I've got a child. And up until this point, all the sons that he has had has died. They have all died. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said something very beautiful. The Arabic I forget, but he said that, you know, my heart is heavy. You know, in Arabic it's beautiful what he says. He said, my heart is heavy. My eyes are shedding tears. You know, and he was just expressing his sadness, his extreme sadness, right? But what he did was he linked his struggle back to Allah. And that is what you need to learn how to do. That is what every one of us needs to learn how to do. Right? Whenever you struggle with anything in your life, and if you want to be patient in that situation, you have to connect that back to Allah. Your bank account is zero. Connect it to Allah. Allah, why is my bank account zero? What are you trying to test me with? Right? What are you trying to teach me? What are you trying to show me? Why is this? Right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will never let you down. Never. He will never let you down. Right? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned in a hadith Qudsi, right? He mentioned that, O sons of Adam, right? O sons of Adam, there are those that deny my existence. They wage war against me. Meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying this through the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. O sons of Adam, there are those that deny my existence. There are those that wage war against me. There are those that that absolutely despise me, right? And I provide them food and water and drink and shelter, then how can you possibly think that the one who bows down to me 5 times a day, how can I deny them? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will never abandon you. Okay, He will never abandon you. Right? You will get tested to the point, right? Right at the point where you think you can't take it anymore. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what does He say? Inna ma'al usri yusra. Right? After hardship comes ease. It's like a roller coaster. Okay? You know, it's a roller coaster. You have peaks and you have valleys. And that is the dunya. That is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said the dunya would be. He will test you with things that you do not like. Right? And this does not mean catastrophic. This means everything. Every small thing. Every small thing you will be tested with. So the first thing is to temper your expectations. What do you expect from the dunya? Right? You have to temper your expectations. You know, there's a reason why a lot of marriages go through a lot of issues. And that is because they expect too much from each other. Right? Too much expectations. Right? You expect too much from the dunya. Too much from the dunya. You expect too much. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned another hadith Qudsi. He mentioned that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that if the dunya was as important as a wing of a mosquito, okay, if it was as important as a wing of a mosquito, if it was that important to Allah, if it was that valuable to Allah, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not even let the disbelievers take a sip of water. Can you imagine? Would not even let them take a sip of water. So how valuable is the dunya? How valuable is it really? Right? You get stuck in your world, you get stuck in your job, you get stuck with your kids, your family, you get stuck in your situation. How valuable is it really? You know? So the thing that you're losing sleep over means nothing to Allah. Is what I'm saying. Right? It means nothing to Allah. And, you know, me coming up here and saying this like it's easy. It's not easy. Right? It's very difficult. Right? Everybody's human. Everybody is human. When you go through something you dislike, it feels like the end of the world. It feels like the end of the world. Right? When you're in a situation when you need money and you don't have money, it feels like your life is over. I understand. I know the feeling. Right? When you're in a situation where you feel like the family is breaking apart, it feels like the end of the world. Right? Whenever you're in a situation that feels so desperate, it feels like the end of the world. But wallahi, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, مَا أَصَابَ مِن مُصِيبَةٍ إِلَّا بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ وَمَنْ يُؤْمِن بِاللَّهِ يَهْدِ قَلْبَهُ وَاللَّهُ بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ عَلِيمٌ. He said, there is not an issue, not a test that falls you, except with the permission of Allah. وَمَنْ يُؤْمِن بِاللَّهِ يَهْدِ قَلْبَهُ. Right? And whoever believes and has faith in Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will fix their problem. He'll guide their problems. He'll guide their hearts. Right? He will guide everything. He'll fix your issues. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will fix your problem. Whatever problem you had, it will be fixed. That is the whole purpose of the dunya. That is the issues you go through. That's it. Can you remember Allah through these moments? Can you be patient through those moments? Link it back to Allah. Whether it's something small, whether it's something big, maybe something happens and you say something you shouldn't have said. Right? Maybe something happens and you do something you shouldn't have done. Right? That is the whole test. That is your test. Right? That is your test. Your test is, can you be patient? Right? Can you gracefully be patient? That's the key thing. You have to be graceful. Okay? You can't just be patient because you're forced to be patient. You have to be graceful in your patience. Right? And it all is just building your connection with Allah. Just having that iman that Allah will take care of my situation, whatever my situation is. And if you ever feel like you're not worth it, or you're not worthy, whatever issues you may have, there are many things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that you should not feel like that. You should never feel like that. Whatever the case is, maybe you're young, and you haven't figured out who you are yet. Maybe you're getting bullied, whatever the case. Maybe you feel less than who you are. You don't feel worthy of yourself. Or maybe you're an older person, right? And you did not achieve the things that you wanted to achieve in your life, and you feel like it's not worth it. You're not a worthy person. You feel like you're a failure. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in many places throughout the Quran. Okay, many places throughout the Quran. One that he said, أَفَحَسِبْتُمْ أَنَّمَا خَلَقْنَاكُمْ عَبَثًا وَأَنَّكُمْ إِلَيْنَا لَا تُرْجَعُونَ. He said, did you think that I created you without a purpose? Right? Do you think you were created without a purpose? In another place, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. He said, I have given a lot of honor and respect to Bani Adam. Bani Adam is you, human beings. You. Especially the ones that have faith. Especially the ones that are Muslim. Especially the ones that have La ilaha illallah in their hearts. Right? So there's a bigger purpose to all of us. There's a bigger purpose to every one of us. Right? And the main point that I want to make here is you cannot let the small things hold you back. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told you all these things are coming. I'll test you with things you dislike. I'll test you with poverty. I'll test you with, maybe you'll lose your job. Maybe you'll go through a point in life where you have no money. Maybe you'll go through a point in your life where you're hungry. Maybe you'll go through a point in your life where you're scared, where you're anxious, where you're anxiety, where you're depressed, whatever. But just know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala lifts you and takes you out of all of that. And the most important thing is we have be patient, be graceful in your patience. Right? You'll be forced to be patient anyways. You might as well be graceful. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to have patience in our lives. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to keep our cool, keep our iman, and may He not take our lives until He is completely happy and satisfied with us. Wa akhiru da'wahum alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فإن خير الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد عليه الصلاة والسلام وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار من يطع الله ورسوله فقد رشد ومن يعصهما فإنه لا يضر إلا نفسه وقال الله عز وجل في قرآن المجيد والفرقان الحميد بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون واعتصموا بحبل الله جميعا ولا تفرقوا واذكروا نعمة الله عليكم إذ كنتم أعداء فألف بين قلوبكم فأصبحتم بنعمته إخوانا وكنتم على شفا حفرة من النار فأنقذكم منها كذلك يبين الله لكم آياته لعلكم تهتدون قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا الكيس من دان نفسه وعمل لما بعد الموت والعاجز من أتبع نفسه هواها وتمنى على الله بارك الله لنا ولكم في القرآن المجيد ونفعنا وإياه بالآيات وذكر الحكيم إنه تعالى جواد كريم ملك بر رؤوف رحيم. نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لقد كان لكم في رسول الله أسوة حسنة لمن كان يرجو الله واليوم الآخر وذكر الله كثيرا إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم أيد الإسلام والمسلمين اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين، اللهم انصر المسلمين والمجاهدين والمستضعفين في سبيلك في كل مكان، اللهم اشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين. اللهم إنا نسألك برحمتك التي وسعت كل شيء، اللهم اغفر لنا وارحمنا وأنت خير الراحمين. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إنا كنا من الظالمين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون، وسلام على المرسلين، والحمد لله رب العالمين. أقم الصلاة.